y'all. Hey, y'all. Welcome back to Doctress Monica Nicole with me. This is the home of the deep thinkers, baby. Okay. This is the space for those of you all who love to have deep conversations about life, the world, spirituality, everything, honey, because I am a master subconscious reprogrammer and rewriter. Okay. And so in this conversation, I was thinking about there's a class that I taught a couple years ago in my Butterfly Effect School of Transformation, and it was getting into the principle of superposition. Now, if you are a science geek, science nerd, a physics lover, then you understand exactly what that superposition is. Now, I'm not going to go too deep into the piece because the class is like a whole 2.5 hour long class, right? But I want to talk about a little bit and how it relates to the aspect of manifesting and creating our life and our reality. Because believe it or not, we're always creating our reality. I attracted you in here to this space as I was creating that reality. And when we're creating realities, it starts from up here. It starts from our mind first before it even becomes a real action. Our mind forms the outcome. Our mind is always forming the outcome. So when you operate with an internal confidence of something, it happens. When you have a little bit of doubt in there, it can be a little rocky sometimes. It may happen a little bit, but it may not be as big as what it could have been, right? So getting into the principle of or the law of superposition, it's saying you could be looking at okay, I have this cup. Inside this cup, it could be water, tea, or coffee. With superposition, it's everything. Because we're creating the reality of what it is. I challenge y'all to put it inside of the comments. What's in this cup? Superposition tells us when we see a situation or something happen in our life, we have the choice to decide what that thing is, the meaning of that thing. So if I'm saying that it's going to rain, it's going to rain, it's going to rain, it will rain. It will eventually rain. If you see that, you know what, this situation is going to work out in my favor. It has the opportunity of potentially not working in your favor, and it has the potential of working in your favor. A 50-50, right? You choose which one is true. You choose which one is true. And this relates to how we create our life, how we manifest in our life, how we evolve in our life, how things unfold in our life. And anyone who has ever witnessed a miracle happen, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I remember saying, I said, you know what? So I've started, I just wrote a reflector. If you're into human design, I'm a human design reflector. And so I have a Substack that's dedicated to those reflections. And in my reflection yesterday, I was just sharing how I reflect back the wealth energy, not the scarcity, the wealth energy. And in that, it comes with me changing environments and things of that nature, right? So I like to fly first class. And I was looking at some international flights and I was like, I want to get in the ones with the beds. I said, I'm getting on one with the beds. Okay. So I was looking at flights. Typically, the ones with the beds is at least $4,000. This flight was only $700. I spoke that into my reality. I spoke it into my reality. I didn't buy it because I still don't know if I'm able to leave on that day or not. But just knowing that, me putting that out there into the world, I'm going to do this. And it didn't equate to making a bunch of more money, but it equated to, it was in a range that I would have paid for a basic first class ticket or business class. When we are creating our reality, when we are aligning with the new definition of self, we have to be so in tune with our mind and what we think. There's this book, one of the first books I actually read on mindset. This was back in college. My dad gave it to me. And I see now how my dad has been my guide to abundance. You know what I'm saying? And so in college, this was around, because I was still Michigan State. So it was like 2011, because I graduated 2011. So it was around 2010, 2011. Yeah. And there's a book called As a Man Thinketh. You can find it online for free. Okay. It's a book that I revisit quite often. And that book, it's really is a quick PDF read online if you get it online, but it opened up something inside of me. And I strayed away from it for a while because information without applicable actions is wasted energy. Well, I won't say it's wasted energy. It's kind of like planting a seed, but then you still going through all the other seasons and stuff and handling life and all this other jazz until you finally see, like, oh, I see what this was talking about. And for me, it took almost about 8 years for me to tap back into it and understand. But I'll never forget that book. And it goes into, as a man thinketh, so it is. So if you think you're ugly, the world will respond to you as you're ugly. You know you the baddest B? The world is going to respond to you being the baddest. People used to always say, one of my songs was "That's My Attitude." And "Conceited" by Remy Ma. I used to listen to "Conceited" by Remy Ma every day, getting ready for high school. Okay. Trina, "That's My Attitude" was my song in undergrad. And they be like, "You so full of yourself." And you got to think that's the opposition coming in to try to change how you see yourself, right? And I'm like, that was my greeting when my neos came through. That's Dean attitude. Okay. Like, still the best Zeta in the game. It's one of those where your mindset, your mindset creates your reality. But when you allow the oppositional energy to come in, to try to change you, to try to shift you, to try to humble you, they're trying to change your superposition. Yeah. They want you to change what you see in that box. Because have you ever noticed that you really don't start picking up on some things until you start really paying attention to it? And all of a sudden everything start irritating you? It's because you're choosing that reality. You're choosing that irritation. You're choosing to look for a problem. But if your mind doesn't see a problem and your mind is not attached to that space or that energy in that emotional tone, it changes the outcome. So we are always creating our reality. But what you need to understand is that as you are always creating your reality, there is always going to be oppositional energy there waiting. It's on you to hone in on what you see inside that box. For you to hone in on what you see inside that box. because what you say is inside the box is what's in that box. A lot of people who have mastered this, that's why they love like gambling and things of that nature. Now, not everyone, but it's certain games that they'll play to gamble with, like blackjack, for example. When I was, baby, listen, making money on blackjack. Okay? Through that superposition. Now, I'm not telling y'all to go out there and start gambling. I don't even do it no more. Okay? Because it's not the energy I want around me. But what I'm saying is that this shows up in various ways. So you being here, I created this reality. I created the reality for thousands of people to see me. I created the reality of this channel evolving and growing faster than what many see it being able to, because I said it so. And if I say it so, then it is so. And as we get into that space of mastering it, because it's not about just saying it, you got to actually think it and mentally be aligned with it. And a lot of times, the greatest opposition comes from ourselves. Because remember, I said in a previous video, the people who we attract within our life as like a magnet, they are nothing but a manifestation of ourselves. They are a manifestation of ourself. So even when the oppositional energy comes to us externally, it's just a representation of the opposition that's still living in us internally. Okay. And so I thank you all for tuning into this conversation. Definitely leave some comments, questions down below. If there's a question that you want me to dive deeper into, leave that down below. Remember, be respectful in my comments. Thank you. Because I'm going to treat you the same way I treat when those moments come in my head. I block you and move on. Okay. So I thank you for being here. And listen, y'all, remember, go deep, because sometimes the shit really is that deep. Love y'all.